What's going on, Mr.
Hey,
Michael?
Dr. Fresh.
How are you doing
How
today?
are you?
Doing good.
I'm good. Miss Lee is all yours. She has a ticket to 29. All right, out then.
Excellent. Good morning. How are you doing today?
Good morning. I'm great. I'm excited.
I'm excited to talk with you too because I'm so proud of you for writing this book because, I mean, yes, I was there for 30 for 30. I rewound it 10 million times. I kept going back to learn new things. But now with a book, I can patiently go through your paragraphs. And it is so important for people to read this book.
Thank you so much, Arrow. That touches my heart. Thank you.
How easy was it for you to go in and write something like this? Because when it's coming from your body, I mean, we're talking about your mind and soul now.
Yeah, when I wrote it, it was just it was such a warming and healing experience. Just coming up, just thinking back. You don't take the time to really go back and talk about your childhood and the way you see things as a child, and then now to have to bring up those memories as an adult. There was a lot of healing involved. There was a lot of laughter and just being thankful again, for not just the good times, but the tough times that I really think prepared me for who I am today and the influence that I've been able to build. And like I say in my memoir, it is just very empowering to be an Asian American woman today, and to be able to talk about the challenges that I had throughout my life.
One of the things that my Sabanim in martial arts shared with me, he says that there aren't enough books about Asian American people because they need to figure out who is the face, who is the image. And I think this book is going to be so important because there's going to be all ages walking into a bookstore, seeing this going, oh my God, I am her. I can be like her. I can live longer and strive harder.
Thank you. That's definitely the hope. I mean, when you're writing it, you after reading what I wrote, with, by the way, my co-writer, Dana Benbow, who was incredible. You think it's a good book. I thought it was a good book, but we've gotten some great feedback from professionals on how inspirational it is. Like Booklist, who's a very important reviewer, starred the reviews. So a quote from the review that really warmed my heart, it said, "A must read about a courageous billiards icon now facing the most significant challenge of her life." And I would definitely say that that's true. I mean, just talking about my life while, these last few years have been really, really challenging. It turned my world upside down. But to be able to write about it, to sit here today alive and thankful, I think that's a story that anybody can read.
One of the things that you bring up in the book, and I'm so proud of you for being this transparent, is your struggle with scoliosis. And the reason why I bring this up is because I work with somebody whose daughter, she just happened to lean over one day and her mother saw something in her back. The people aren't talking about scoliosis like they used to, and it needs to be brought back into the picture.
That's absolutely true. And that's actually how my mom found out. She didn't find out till I was 13. I'm born and raised in New York, and my mom took me out to Long Island Beach. And that's really what happened, is we went years without them being able, her really seeing me naked. I'm 12, 13 years old at that point. I've been showering by myself for a long time. And when we were there and I took my shirt off, I didn't even have to bend. It was very obvious to the eye. It was 58 and 56 degrees, S shape. So that just ended our beach day pretty quickly. And then, it was a whirlwind after that.
Mm-hmm. The opening of the book is so special with Billie Jean King. Oh, man.
Oh, my God, I know.
I mean, I just wanted to hug the book. I really did.
I'd be happy to hug you in person, Arrow.
So in creating the book, did you have to use the same type of energy and perseverance that you do when you are in a billiards match? Because, I mean, to place those words in the right place and to trust your heart that it was the right message to share.
I'll tell you, Dana Benbow, who helped me during that time, I was in the middle of, when we started writing this, I was deep in chemo. And I was on a lot of medication, and my body was fighting because They took me off treatments for my ankylosing spondylitis and my fibromyalgia. I mean, it's during COVID, and those are two autoimmune diseases. It was really, really scary, and it was hard to think. And Dana she really just helped me through it. I was able to just kind of brain dump, but it definitely took just opening my heart and pouring out my soul. And she was able to help me organize it in a way that made sense and was still inspiring.
See, and I just want listeners to understand that this is not just a book about billiards or about sports. This is about humanism. And because inside my heart, I just feel like that a lot of caretakers need to pick up this book and they need to study this book because the two of you working together, the way that you work through things in life, it can actually inspire and influence others to continue doing the same in their chapters.
Yeah, it's very easy, when things hit us hard, and it hits everyone.
Yeah.
And it's hard to compare because when you're in the middle of it, when you're experiencing it, it seems like the worst thing in the world. But you're not alone. You feel alone. You feel like no one can understand, but people can understand what pain is about, and doubt and fear and anxiety. And it's not about getting through it, smiling and, while you're going through it, it's going to be tough. You might cry, you might scream, you might get angry, but you have to be able to heal and believe that tomorrow can be a better day. And that, my whole thing is I don't ever want to be a victim. I've had so many things that I've overcome, the challenges with scoliosis, ovarian cancer, raising 6 kids, being a woman, an Asian woman, trying to achieve in a decidedly male world. That's what the book is all about. It's meant to empower women, and especially in Asian today with everything that has gone on. I know that there's still a lot of, even with my kids in school, they're Korean American, born and raised here, but, they've gotten a lot of, oh, do you eat dog? And people have alienated them because they believe that they gave their mom COVID, and just ridiculous things. And it's all about getting through it, getting through the tough times, no matter how hard it is, when your whole body is telling you to stay in bed and pull the covers on. Sometimes the most courageous thing you can do is just putting one foot on the ground.
Yeah.
And then the other. It's not about, going out there and running a marathon. It's about, strength doesn't come from the absence of fear and the absence of doubt. It's in the face of it, when everything just is pulling you down, and you manage to just get out of bed and get dressed when everything is telling you not to. That's true courage, in my opinion. It's not the person who grew up silver spoon and everything came easy. It's knowing that things get tough sometimes, but believing that if you can just get through it, the other side is a lot better than staying in bed. Because if you stay in bed, then that's as good as it'll ever get.
That's it. Something tells me though that not only did you get up, but you made sure that you took a walk. Because intention walks are so important that you kept movement going through your whole entire body.
Yes, that's actually what I still struggle with today is, just making sure that just getting up and getting out of bed is now no longer okay, because I've been doing that. Now it's get on the recumbent bike.
Yep.
Build up some strength, use those resistance bands, do what you can. And if that means 10 minutes and then taking a break and then doing 5 more minutes, whatever it is, be proud of yourself and know that I'm out there proud of you, and hopefully you'll be encouraged by my book, The Black Widow, a memoir.
Wow. Where can people go to find out more and share some beautiful love with you?
You were just reading my mind. So a special that the book will be available in bookstores August 13th. It's also available at triumphbooks.com and Amazon. But if you order from my website, caramsports.com, and that's CAROM like Mary, SP like Paul, ORTS.com. If you order before August 13th, the Black Widow, a memoir, you will get an autographed copy from me.
That's awesome.
And so please order before August 13th. I promise you won't regret it. There's even a cool hustling story that I did with SI writer Rick Riley with the, surprise twist. So that was kind of cool. But and talking as a Christian woman, believing that all the hard things have a purpose, and you don't know what's going on. When I got hit with scoliosis at 12, I felt my world crashing, and my mom would say, "Oh, don't worry, God has a great plan for you." And I would be like, "Shut up, Mom, what are you talking about?" But years later, I ended up becoming the national spokesperson for the Scoliosis Association. Wow. And that's something you would never dream of at 12. That's where there really is a bigger plan if you can just get through the tough times. And that's something I do talk about in my memoir.
Wow. Please come back to this show anytime in the future. The door is always going to be open for you.
I will find you in Charlotte. Yes, Errol. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And if anybody wants to stay in touch with me, they can go to the Jeanette Lee, the Black Widow on Facebook. My Instagram is Jeanette Lee, and my Twitter is Black Widow.
Excellent.
So would love to hear from you guys. I do read them.
Be brilliant today.
Agreed.
Oh, are you there? Please be there, Arrow.
Yeah, I'm here.
He's worried about you and your hurricane.
Yeah, what's going on down there today?
Nothing. I mean, they're sitting here saying that we're going to get hit by this big, gigantic wall of water. It's going to be, hell down here, and there's nothing going on.
Yeah, they said, I was watching the Weather Channel. They said it was going to be worse today than yesterday on there. But all right, let's go with this.
I don't want to count my chickens before they hatch, but there's nothing going on.
All right, well, let's do this before all hell breaks loose. You got 8 minutes today, Ara. Take it away.
Sarah, I got to give you a compliment before we get started. The pace of your show is unbelievable. You are every bit the reason why I got into radio. It's because I believe in theater of the mind, and you do that with this. I mean, the way you share your stories, the way that you keep it fresh and moving forward, it really is a great performance.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Yeah, it's a lot, but it's necessary. So I'm here for it.
I can't imagine your show prep. I know what I go through and how far out I have to do. I can't imagine what your notes look. Are they handwritten or are you typing them out?
Typing them out, yeah. I've done 13 straight years of daily live radio for ESPN, so I'm treating it sort of similarly where even though it's a podcast and has to get edited, it's a little harder to turn around. At least it's only 30 to 40 minutes, and I used to do 2 to 3 hours every night. So it's just a matter of you need to just constantly be keeping up with what's going on, which is a lot, but that's why people like listening, because they get to find it all out in one place.
I'm glad that you're bringing that energy of that radio to it. And the reason why I bring that up is because I a couple of weeks ago, I thought, why don't I just get back into jocking it up a little bit on some of my episodes? Because I think that's what people want. They want that, not star, but they want somebody who's got confidence and is willing to share the story.
Yeah. I mean, I think the best podcasts are a combination of subject matter expert type, someone you want to hang out with. And I think particularly for podcasts, the ones that I listen to regularly, I'm carrying them around with me all day. They become integrated into my life. And I'm sure if you talk to some sort of neuroscientist, they would tell you that you're filing that in a different place than where you're filing, say, a book or a TV show. If you're sitting on the couch watching some highly produced thing, it feels very distant. But if I'm walking my dog, running my errands, going grocery shopping, cooking dinner, and I have these voices in my head every day that I get to know and really understand, they almost feel like a community. And so that's what I'm trying to create with the show.
Well, you do that with your group chats. I mean, you include people in, and I feel like it's like, wow, I'm in the control room with them. Look at this.
Yeah. Yeah, that's part of it, too, is pulling back the curtain and letting people see. One of the things we did in our second group chat, which is where we take the tea from the text onto the airwaves, all the things we talk about via text, we try to bring them up onto the show. One of the things we did was read a listener email that was critical of an interview I did or a response to the interview. And I wanted to bring that to the airwaves and say, this is my thought process of why I asked or didn't ask that question. What do you guys think? Should I have done it? How do you respond? You're a producer. The guest was a producer of Around the Horn, the TV show. I said, you're a producer. How would you have produced that segment? I want people to feel like they're in on understanding not just the information we're giving, but how we're deciding what to bring you. And also, I want people to know I don't take myself that seriously, which is pretty rare in this profession. I want people to know I'm doing my best, but I'm willing to be wrong. I'm willing to have you tell me I'm wrong and get better and change change it. That's just like something we're missing in society today. I think it's like, let's get more information and change our minds.
One of the things that you do is you include everybody in your performance. And what I mean by that is that you set it off right away. Even if you're new to women in sports, yes, we are. And I give credit to the WNBA. It's on prime time. It's on the front page of the newspaper.
Yeah.
It's all changing for us. And we need someone like you who's going to say, hey, look, here's what's going on.
Yeah, I think, when Caitlin Clark and the March Madness stuff spilled into the start of the WNBA season, there was some truly unhinged rhetoric going on and also some tremendous gatekeeping, even from people who want to grow the game, who felt like their work and their existence in the space for years meant that they could push back on the newbies who didn't know much. And for me, that's never the way to get people to embrace the thing you love. It's like a band you love and being mad when they get popular. You're like, wait, I thought you supported them, right? And so for me, I used to do improv at Second City for years and years, and that always relied on the concept of yes and. So what I say is yes, many of us have been here before and followed this and supported it, and welcome to the new people. We're happy that you're here. Jump on board and get educated, and let's have some good conversations about it.
The way I look at it is that you are a coach for armchair quarterbacks.
Yes, there you go.
I mean, you bring it in, but you do it, like I said, at that pace, that speed that gives us the opportunity to digest what you're sharing, and then we move on to the next story.
Yeah, I think for me, there's so much you could put in a show like this because it doesn't exist. There are no other places to get daily women's sports news and conversation and reaction. And so it was overwhelming at first. And then I thought, what would I want? And one thing I want is off the top, here's what you need to know today. So we do that every day. This person won this person got traded, this person said this and is facing backlash, whatever those top headlines are, then it's maybe a big conversation or interview with someone or a couple different things. But, that to me was really necessary because we're doing a better job of talking about individual female athletes telling their stories. We're doing a better job of covering major tentpole events like championships or titles, but we're not doing the connective tissue that brings you between each game and helps you care about wanting to watch the next one, which we've been doing for men's sports for literally like a century. Yeah. So I want to help you just get to know the names and leagues and people every single day, slowly but surely, so that you care more. Not just
the names. We've got to get the faces, too, because we've got to be able to go in there because that's what I think that music is going through right now. We know the songs. We just don't know who's singing it.
Yeah. Yeah, because we used to buy a whole record and look at the liner notes and the photos on the inside. Yeah. And now you just hit a button on Spotify and it spins you through a bunch of different things. And then you realize, oh, I have no idea who sung any of those songs or what they were called or anything about it. Yeah, I think for women's sports in particular, social media has been massive because you've been able to follow some of the athletes and leagues you love the most and really get them in a timeline where you're organically scrolling and reading and watching and seeing these things right alongside other stuff you care about. And that's been huge.
We're about ready to dive into the Olympics coming to an end. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to be so addicted, and we're going to have to face that emptiness. What am I going to watch? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? They've got to discover your podcast so that we can be educated on what's going on around the rest of the world.
Yeah, because right now everything's kind of at a break while they watch the Olympics and play the Olympics. But when we come back, we're fast and furious for the second half of the WNBA season. Yep. We've got NWSL, National Women's Soccer League, and all those soccer players that you're going to watch in the gold medal match on Saturday. Most of them are going to come back and be playing for teams perhaps in your backyard that you can go watch. That was one of the things that really struck me is in Chicago, there's such a massive amount of things to watch and go see. And for years, I didn't even know we had a women's professional soccer team, that Megan Rapinoe was playing a half hour away from me. And so I think the best thing we can do as we're trying to continue growing these sports and these professional women's leagues is to really invest the resources right after the Olympics when you're most excited about these people and you've given yourself the time to hear their stories and care about them, is then figure out how do you pivot that attention to the professional softball leagues for Athletes Unlimited, basketball, soccer, all the other things. There's going to be a new professional women's volleyball league called Love Pro, and 75% of the U.S. Olympic indoor team is already signed to contract. So if you're watching those volleyball games and loving it, starting in November, you'll get the preseason, and in January, the regular season, and you can watch and attend them in a professional league. So it's really cool.
Wow. Where can people go to find out more about you and give you a lot of love? Because I know your fan base is huge, and they love you.
Oh, God bless them. SarahSpain.com is my website, and Good Game with Sarah Spain is the show where you can search that anywhere you get your podcasts, hit that subscribe or follow button, and then hang out with us every day, just about 30, 40 minutes. And we're trying to create a really fun community.
Are you going to call that community Spainer Gamers? I kind of like that name.
You know, we actually held a vote and we had a lot of names. I wanted to make it more about the show and less about my name because, you know, we've had Spanians and other things. We ended up with slices, like orange slices, because the show is good game, like the handshake line at the end of the game. You always get your orange slices after the game. So my listeners are my little slices.
I love it. Please come back to this show anytime in the future. The door is always going to be open for you.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me.
Well, you be brilliant today, okay?
I will. You too.
Thank you.
Hey, Errol, I'm going to have him here for you shortly.
Excellent, man. Thank you so much.
And just an FYI, it's Tom and Mary Pat.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. Thank you.
And whenever you're ready, you can say hello to Arrow. The line is open.
Hello, Arrow?
Hello. Hello, and good morning. How are you two doing today?
We're doing fine. How are you doing?
Doing very well. I'm very excited to talk with you because as one big family, we need to push this message out there because every year it seems like it's like Shark Week. We've got to keep reminding people of the dangers that, you know, like the House of Horror. There's a lot of things that are going wrong.
Absolutely. So thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Now, when it comes to finding it in your heart to bring this forward, I can't imagine the strength the two of you have gone through in order to make it possible for the rest of us who will receive this on A&E.
Well, we feel it's important. We don't want any other family to experience what we have. And we just want to create awareness that, you know, this is going on. It will continue to go on as long as sororities and fraternities and other organizations are still going on. So we just feel it's very important to create awareness for everybody, to do your homework if you are planning, if any, you know, your child's planning to join any type of these organizations, that you should research, talk to other students who are part of that organization. Just make sure that, you know, there's any other violations that that particular fraternity or sorority had. And if you feel your child's not ready, they can always wait another semester, which I think that should be mandatory. I don't think a lot of these people are really prepared. I mean, they're first of all going off to college. That's a big step. And then also to be joining an organization that is, you know, basically, you know, brainwashing you and having you do things that you're uncomfortable with. So
yeah, living off campus. Living off campus is so important because it keeps the family together. But then again, when you have other people, let's say if they're going out to another university in a different state, I mean, that's going to be the challenge as well. But still, I mean, I'm still trying to figure out why there's so much secrecy. Because I know when I've sat down with college students and you ask them about this, all you do is you get rolled eyes or you get that little smirk. And it's like, why won't you talk to me? Why won't you talk to me about this?
Exactly. I mean, you hit a sore spot for me, and it's right. We don't get it. The code of silence is very real. No one talks, and it doesn't matter who it is. You might even know the person. They're not even going to talk because they are brainwashed. As soon as they step into that fraternity environment, you know, there's a code of silence. It's in the bylaws of the fraternity, and boy, they stick to it during life or death. It doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm. And we're talking about hazing, abuse, racism. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on, and they don't have a legal license to even be doing this.
Well, no, the fraternity that Danny was joining, they were sanctioned 2 times, and they weren't allowed to be having any type of party or event in that house, and they don't think the rules apply to them. They don't think that anything's going to happen.
Well, the second sanction was 13 days before the incident.
Wow.
So think about that. They knew that, and they had, you know, the local chapter. They had vice presidents, presidents. They had all these titles, and they didn't do anything. They didn't do anything about it. They just say, all right, you know, we'll get through it. But there's also 23 cameras in the house. Also, they forgot about that.
What is the psychology behind this? Is it a structure of trying to be leaders? I mean, I don't understand why someone would feel like that they've got to be over somebody else. And I'm wondering if is it a weakness? What is the psychology behind it?
Well, I think for a lot of these upperclassmen that they felt they had that done to them, so they're going to do it to the incoming pledges.
Right.
So that's kind of their mentality, and it's kind of like a control thing that they have over these kids, and it's mind games, and I don't know, it's not brotherhood. I don't know how you could really consider these people friends after the end of the process, because they're not really getting to know these pledges. They're torturing them. And I don't understand the mentality behind it, but I just think it's more of a control thing.
It's all brotherhood until something bad happens.
Yep. 6 episodes. I can't imagine. There's going to be universities that are going to pull this out and they're going to use it as a tool, and they're going to sit down with these students and say, hey, look, learn something from this so it doesn't happen here.
Oh, yeah, exactly. I hope they do. They just have to educate these kids more. I think it has to start in high schools. You have to start educating these seniors that are going off to college that this is what's going on.
Well, you also have to be tougher. Like if something bad happens, sorry, you got to expel the kids. Yeah. You can't mess around with things. That's it. And Missouri stepped up to the plate, I'll tell you that. Because the University of Missouri and other states should follow what they did in Danny's situation.
Wow. What have you learned as a family and as a leader in the community now that we need to really pay attention to?
Well, I mean, as a family, I you're stronger than you think, because I always thought I would never be able to handle a situation like this. But it's brought us closer. I feel that there are a lot of bad people in the world, but there's also a lot of really good people. And we've been so supportive by our family, friends, community. I think that, everybody just needs to just do their research and do their homework and hopefully, us getting out there and sharing our story will save more lives and just make more people aware.
But at the end of the day, it's not the end of the world if you don't join a fraternity.
Right.
I mean, life goes on.
So true. So true. How about a website where people can reach out?
I'm not familiar with that one.
Is there a website that anybody can reach out to? I mean, because people, they're going to have questions and they're going to want to know, how can I learn more about this?
Well, there's, I think they're trying to get the STOP. And you can just Google. So if you are, planning to go to university, I would talk to the people there and ask them if, what their history has been with some of these organizations. And just, I would probably just say Google it.
Yeah. Well,
because, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, continue, please.
No, I was just saying, because universities are going to be held accountable. They have to, make sure that every incident out there, every incident that happened is out there. Otherwise, funding will be pulled. That's a national federal law that's going to be passed eventually soon. So, everyone has to get in the game.
Yeah. Thank you for doing this, guys. I hope to talk with you many, many more times in the future so we can keep pushing this word out there.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us.
You be brilliant today.
Hello, good afternoon.
Hello and good afternoon. My name is Arrow. How are you doing today?
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me okay?
Hello?
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you now. How are you?
Doing fantastic. How about you?
I'm doing well. Happy Wednesday.
Same to you. I got to ask you a question. You got to please be my teacher right now and share with me your style of poetry. I'm so fascinated by it.
I'm glad you are. That is the hope that at least, folks become fascinated and enthralled by the style and the content.
And it comes with a big discipline, doesn't it? Because, I mean, you've got to use real words and make sure that they touch each other.
Yes. It's, particularly with this kind of content and style, there's a lot of intentionality that goes into it. You have to be deliberate because there's only so many words that you have. And, so every word is not a fluff. There are no filler words, so it's a lot of intentionality indeed.
I think one of the reasons why I'm so attached to it is because my last book was based on using the fewest amount of words and don't complete a sentence, with 10 words in it. Do it with 2 words. And yes. So I think that's why I'm drawn to this, because I'm going, man, I'm not so weird after all.
Indeed. I think you and I probably echo what Shakespeare said when he said brevity is the soul of wit. Ability to be concise and succinct and still be impactful. Yeah.
Wow. Now, the way that you use your words, it's very community driven. I mean, you are really speaking the street here.
Yep. It is, and that is intentional, right? Because at the same, there's that level of accessibility as well that that I wanted in the work, being able to communicate what folks that are experiencing the same thing might not be able to articulate in words, maybe as fluid as I might have been. Just been, being conscious of that, went a whole lot into the crafting.
Yeah, because we're always trying to get the younger generations to have a voice, and I don't think they realize that poetry can be a voice.
Yes. I mean, it's so interesting that you say that, right? Because if you go all the way to the ancient Greeks, ancient civilization, a lot of folks that we revere today are poets.
Yep.
You're talking about all the major writers and even the philosophers and all of the poets that we cite. A lot of them, was about words. I don't think there's anything more as powerful. The weapon of words as weapons. So yeah, you've said it quite eloquently there.
Well, you sharing that story brings me back to when with Irish limericks. That right there, that was how they used their words and could get messages to other people, as well as the Sandinista War back in the 1990s. Is that they used poetry as that way of getting the word out.
Yes. It's like, it's like code. It's code. Yes, you're right.
Now, to put a book together, because I'm going to be honest with you, I was on the Barnes & Noble tour for 2 years, going around to different stores and sitting down with other writers. One of the lessons that I did with them is that we wrote in the poetry section of the bookstore, because I wanted them to fall witness to who comes to look at those books.
Yes. Because there has to be some emotional resonance.
Yep.
For our people, and I think that is big, right? Because you cannot, have so much of an intellectual, resonance and then lose the emotionality, because the emotionality is what internalizes the experience. It's what binds the poet and the reader together. It's what pulls people in. Yeah. That's important.
I would love to look into the eyes of my readers. I mean, just to, because I can have a conversation with anybody, but can I have that conversation through words?
Yes. That is important. Yeah. That is important, and I think a big part of crafting the words is being able to decide what to say and what to leave unsaid. Because at times the power is in the picture of, at times, that you paint without leaving the reader, to find their space in what you have chosen not to say.
Yeah.
So how do you make that balance of what is said and what is unsaid? I think it's it's the ultimate mystery.
How do you keep the perfectionist at bay?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know. Because I could tell you, I revise this book for every morning. I will wake up, and even when I released it, I still wasn't quite sure. I was like, man, I'll still go back. My editor had to tell me that, Pelumi, you can't keep doing this. You cannot, but I don't know. I don't know if I don't know. I guess I don't know. It's because words. Because as you sleep and you wake up, you get new inspiration. You get new ideas. And like, oh, well, this could be better. This could be said better. And you keep on tweaking, and then you go back. No. That, yes, it's the ultimate creator dilemma, right?
Well, isn't that because when you write about human experiences, what happens is the writer, the poet, you're also receiving from the universe. So it's once it finds that flow or that river, you're always going to be there.
Yes. And I think that is key because you are a channel, right? You are trying to pass on what it is you're receiving. And at times, when you receive it in that initial form, the way you interpret it might not be how it was meant to be interpreted. So at times you sit on it, you marinate on it, and it begins to be refined in the most eloquency, in the most impactful, in the most potent form of it. Yes. That's very accurate.
Well, let me ask you this. I'm with my daily writing, which I've been doing for 30 years, I use a writing instrument, a pen, a fountain pen. Are you using a pen or are you on that computer?
At times I found myself, at times I'll scribble with a pen, but, what I did, because I realized at time, of course, the inspiration can catch you anywhere. At times, I could be at an event, I could be at a wedding, I could be anywhere. So what I've decided, because I do have a personal Slack, so I'll just pull up a draft to myself on Slack, like as though I was writing myself. So I will make the draft in there. So no matter where I was, whether I was, because at time, like I said, I'm not always home, so I can't always be in front of my computer. So having that access to myself, so I could just pull up the draft note and just amend or just tweak things, it's given me a lot of versatility in the writing process.
Do you ever get it to the point like songwriters do where they, something comes to you, you kind of put it away on the smartphone and then you come back to it 1 or 2 years later and going, oh, now, I'm in a different frame of mind now.
Yeah, it happens. Let me give you, there was a time, a couple of poems, sonatas in the book that I began to write one. And then I got an inspiration for another poem. And I'm like, oh, man, what do I do? So I just wrote the first 2 sentences of that new poem, just put it somewhere, and I continue with the one I was writing. And I didn't quite know how I would come back to the old one because it felt like just an inspiration that just came out of nowhere, and I did not know how to triangulate it, and so I just continued with the one I was writing, and there was later on, maybe a couple of weeks later, and I just went back and okay, all right, we can keep at this.
Don't you see these days and times that we're currently living in right now, that this is an opportunity for poets like yourself to make sure that we stay healthy and strong, and that when things, it's not if, it's when they go wrong, that we've got to be able to get that word out there?
That is the point of me writing Poeta, because even if you look at the title of the book, Poeta is Latin for poet. So because I strongly believe that a poet is a witness. The poet is a bearer of record of society. Right, the poet is the one that transmits like a channel between the divine and the mortal, right? So whether it's the good of society or the ills or the vices or the virtues of society, the poet stands in that chasm, right, between the dead and the living. And so whatever things are happening, we need to be able to articulate those kind of things, able to whether uplift or challenge or inspire. It's important. That is the ideal role of the poet. And like we've been saying throughout this conversation, if you look out through this, even if you look at the Roman epigrams, right? The epigrammatic, that was the core of it. That was the core of it, where the poet is the conscience of society. And that is the role that I see the poet as in when I began to write this book.
Wow. Where can people go to find more about you and give you some love?
Well, you can always, I'm on Twitter, that Ando Pelumi Olatinopo. Also, my website, Pelumi Olatinopo.com, where you could also, put purchase the book. The book is also available on Amazon on ebook and hardcover as well. Even though I'll say the hardcover, you have to hold it. It's a work of art. Yes.
Oh my God! Please tell me that you'll come back to this show in the future.
Oh, definitely. Please, as often as you would like to have me, I'll be, love to speak to you and your listeners.
Excellent. Will you be brilliant today? Okay.
Yeah, I will do. You did the same. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hello and good afternoon.
Hi, Arrow. It's Terry, and I have Dr. Warsh waiting to talk to you.
Oh, I'm looking forward to this.
Okay, stand by, please.
Thank you.
Dr. Warsh, you're connected with Arrow.
Hello and good afternoon, Doctor. Hi. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Absolutely fantastic. Very excited to talk with you because I feel like that I'm living this book, or I've got chapters in it that it's like, oh my God, it is so speaking the street.
Oh, well, thank you. That's very kind of you.
It's there. I'll tell you the level that we're presently at. It's the grandparents with the older daughter who's got the kids. And when you say parenting at a child's pace, that's exactly what my daughter is doing with her kids. It's their pace. And that's why this book is so important in this modern age.
I think it's so important because there's just so much information out there and so much competing advice, and it can be really debilitating for parents sometimes to figure out what's the best thing to do for their kids. And so I think it's really important that we work to synthesize that information and figure out what makes sense for us and our own family and parent for our kids, and trusting our inner gut that we know what's best to do.
Yeah. The thing that I love about it is that you really do kind of introduce it, and it's right here in front of us, emotionally nurturing space. And because a lot of people don't, they want to keep away from everything, but that they don't want to be known as an introvert. But if we just give them space, they'll come out.
Yeah, I know. I agree exactly. And sometimes we're comparing our children too much to other people or other kids or other things we see online, and we're not giving them the space to really develop at their own pace. And there's such a wide range of what's normal for so many different things that oftentimes we worry way too early, and we don't need to be worried.
Now, is there a difference between the right way and the way that the child has?
Well, I think that the right way at the end of the day is what makes sense for your family and what's best for your child. And what's frustrating and difficult for parents these days is that everybody seems to have an opinion on what the best way to do everything is, and that there's only one right way and their way is the right way. And that's not always true or correct for your family. And so as a parent, I think it's really important that we work through that information and then decide what we feel like is best for our parents, and just trust that we're making the right decision.
The thing that I really am trying to, be faithful with is the fact that, I wish my parents would have had this book, because I would have gone the holistic way if they would have known there was the holistic way. I was the black sheep of the family, and it's like, why didn't we have this before now? Or was it there? We just didn't talk about it.
I think it's been around, but it's not as common. It's still certainly not as common to have a holistic spin on things or an integrative spin. I grew up pretty regular family, regular way. I used to eat fast food and play sports and do all the things that you would do as a young kid in Canada. And I didn't really even think about any of this stuff until I got older, met my wife who's more holistic minded, and really saw patients struggling in the medical system and learning about integrative medicine and integrative health. I don't think that there shouldn't be two different things. I mean, it should be what we're all doing. There's no reason that we can't think about prevention. There's no reason that we shouldn't be thinking about the root cause of what's going on. There's no reason we shouldn't be thinking about our diet and sleep and exercise and all of these things, but it's just not what we're focused on as much these days, because we're so focused on faster, cheaper, better, and we're losing out on our health. So that's where I wanted to really reshift the focus back and talk about these basic fundamentals and basic foundations. That way we can get to a better place with our health.
Is it my imagination? It seems like families are getting larger, and that really brings back a lot of memories of my parents, because we had 8 kids, and that meant that there were 8 different personalities they had to take care of. As families get larger, they're coming from what in the background? A lot of these kids, or a lot of these young parents, only had 1 or 2 members of the family.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's all kinds of different families these days, and so there's such a wide range of what we call a family, and more kids, less kids. I think it depends on where you are, but there's such a difference of of what we consider even to be a family these days, that it's so unique to each group and each family. And that's why I think it goes back to, again, like parenting at your child's pace, thinking about your family, doing what's right for you, because everybody has different values. And I really think that we can do what's right for our own kids without increasing our stress or having to listen to what everybody else is saying all the time.
Mental health has become something that we're all talking about. When I was a child, we didn't talk too much about that. And even my brother had some mental problems, but my mom never talked about it. We have got to get into this support system. How do we do that? Because you even talk about it in the book. Stress management is so important.
Yes, I mean, absolutely. So you bring up a great point in terms of, I think that's the biggest key is, first of all, just talking about it. I mean, I've really been glad to see that we are talking about it a lot more these days, and I think that's the first step, so that way people aren't suffering in silence. And really speaking to other trusted family members, speaking to your doctors, getting connected with mental health, assistance if you need it, a great therapist, whatever it is. I think that the first step is just talking about it and getting connected, so that way you can get the support, because there is a lot of support and a lot of things that we can do to help us when we are stressed, and especially when you're becoming a parent, whether you're pregnant or have a newborn, there are enough stresses already. And if you throw in, mental health issues and not prioritizing yourself, it can be really, really difficult. And we need to encourage parents to prioritize themselves also, because we know at the end of the day that if you want to have healthy kids, that they need healthy parents. And the more that we take care of ourselves, the more that we can take care of our kids. And so we have to prioritize not just our kids, but ourselves and our mental health as well. And there is no more important time than when you're having a baby to do that. Yeah.
You're going to think I'm insane when I say this, but I think that a lot of businesses need to read this book, and they need to activate this book, because, employees are children. I realize we're in grown-up clothes and things, but we're still children, and we still go through the same things that we did as kids.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, I definitely agree, and I think a lot of the principles that run throughout the book are useful and relevant to all of us. Especially at the beginning of the book, I talk about the foundations of health, and that's just as true for adults as it is for children, that we need to focus on our diets and sleep and exercise and our mental health. I mean, these are things that are important for everybody. And so, yeah, I agree. I think it's something that is very important to really think through our health and our wellness as a society.
A two-sided question. Number one, is it too late to help our children? And number two, when should we be watching our kids? Right after birth or when they turn 1?
So it's never too late. There's no such thing as too late, because no matter when you start or when you become a little bit more health conscious, you're assisting them, you're helping them out, you're providing resilience. And even if you do have a condition, maybe you can minimize the effects of the condition. Maybe you can get rid of the condition. Maybe you can decrease the medications that you're on. So it's never too late, but it's also never too early. I think that what we're seeing these days is this rise in chronic conditions, and the rise in chronic conditions comes from the long-term choices that we're making. All the little things that we do, they add up. And so, if you're a parent to be, then let's start thinking about these basic foundations today, making small changes today, and that's going to affect you and your children in the long run.
Every bit the reason why they should have this book inside their homes. Where can people go to find out more about you and what you are doing with our community?
So you can go to my Instagram or X, Dr. Joel Gator, or you can grab the book, Parenting at Your Child's Pace, at all the regular places like Amazon, or you can go to parentingatyourchildspace.com.
Please come back to this show anytime in the future, Doctor. I really love where your heart is, and it's in the right place.
Well, thank you so much. I would love to. Have a great rest of the day.
You too. Bye-bye.